welcome. It's Great Taz, and we're starting a new Minecraft series. So, as you can see, we're here in a brand new world, and this is at 1.19. 1.19.1 will be coming out soon. They're just working a lot of little finite details as they get in their last post. But this series, this is a preamble to the series. Now, many of you might have been following my Bedrock series. Unfortunately, I had a hard drive issue and had to get a new hard drive, and I lost all my world information for the Bedrock guide. So that allows me to basically worry about the next series, and that's going to be Minecraft 101. Basically, in Minecraft 101, what I'm going to go through is basically a guide series, a cross between that and a let's play. We're going to go through and I'm going to try to explain everything I do as I do it, the mechanics behind stuff and what makes what. But right now, I'm in Java, but I am going to do this on cross editions. I'm going to be doing the same thing on Bedrock as I am in Java, so it's going to take me a little bit longer to get things done. The episodes will not be coming out real fast. I have to, if I build a house on Java, I have to build a house on Bedrock. That's how this series is going to go. Now, this episode is going to be kind of a little off from that. This episode is going to be a episode about definitions, or words or things you might hear me say and or other content creators say while they're either creating YouTube videos and or streaming. This is to help out everyone understand. Now, yes, I know what you're going to say, but Taz, Pixel Rift just did this. Well, yes, he did. He started at 1.18, and I was going to start at 1.18, but many things got in my way from starting. I also had the same idea, very similar. So I wanted to start mine, figured 119 would be good because at that point I wouldn't have to reset the world once again, and I would be able to get the mangrove swamp, ancient cities, the deep dark, and the warden if I wanted to, which we'll get there, just not right yet. That's a little ways away. First things first, the reason I chose Java to do a lot of this explanation is because a lot of stuff it's easier to do in Java. First off, we have this. Minecraft is a block game. Everything is in block form. As you can see here, I am in creative to do some of this. This is a block, but that doesn't only include stuff like these building blocks here that we see here, all these which come in different shapes like stairs and slabs. We have transparent like glass. You got decorations. These are considered like your mangrove leaves are a block. This is azaleas a block. So basically what it boils down to, anything that can be placed in the world that takes up space in a block area like so is considered a block. Now I can't put another, as you can see, tree on top of that. So that means that is a block. I can't put a tree on top of that. I can't put a tree on top of this. And this goes all the way down to even the smallest stuff like end rods and torches. Both kind of considered blocks. Even though you can not walk through a end rod, you can a torch. But I cannot put a torch inside the same block as another torch or an end rod. So basically anything that can be placed down in the world is considered a block. Now blocks are set up in group areas that are called chunk. And the reason, again, I've talked about Java is because I wanted to use the F3 Gbug. Now, Bedrock does not, this is a parity difference. Bedrock does not have access to the F3 menu, which you see up here currently now, and all the extras that come with it. You have to find your chunks in a different way. But as you can see here, this here is a chunk. A chunk is basically a 16 by 16 area that Minecraft groups things into. Now, Minecraft has And chunks go from the world bottom, which is -64, all the way to the world height, which is 320. That was brought in 1.18, and that's the way it is currently now in 1.19 and further. Now, if they up the world height limit again at some point, that will be a different area. But as you can see here, I am kind of filling in the outline of this chunk just to show you what a 16 by 16 kind of looks like right here. And that is what a 16 by 16 area or a chunk is. Now, each of these, as you see in these grid pattern here, each one of these, this blue line is a sub chunk all the way up to here, which is a sub chunk is a 16 by 16 cubic area. And we really don't refer to sub chunks quite often because everything between, like I said, -64 and 320 is all part of a chunk. That is 384 blocks from bottom to top in a 16 by 16 area. So just like that, all the way up there. Now you'll also see people talking about coordinates. Coordinates are basically, if you think of a graph paper, and we draw it here on kind of here real quick using Minecraft, you got two major coordinates. As if you were looking down on it, you got an up and down and a left and right. Now, in this one, your up, left, and right are your x coordinates, as we can see here in the F3 screen. In the upper left-hand corner, right now I'm standing in X7. That is your left to right, and also is your east to west in Minecraft. So your up and down, which you would normally see on a piece of graph paper like so, is your y. Y goes from, again, -64 to +320, which is the world build height. Now, there is a difference in the nether, and a difference between Java and Bedrock when it comes to the nether, and we'll get more of the differences in future episodes. But the difference is the build height in Bedrock is 0 to 128, which you can't really build on 0, and you can't build on 128 because it's Bedrock. And in Java, it's 0 to 256, but you can build above 128 in Java. It's just kind of a Java feature that they have not moved over to Bedrock or taken away from Java. Now, your Z coordinates are basically your north and south coordinates in Minecraft. Now, the world goes from like 30,000 blocks or something like that. It's crazy. The very edge of the world to the very edge of the world. So it's a huge, huge area that you really never have to worry about really running out of room to build, because there's quite a bit of room.
Now, to go along with chunks, there are two major types of chunks other than the sub chunk. You have your spawn chunk, and then you also have slime chunks. Slime chunks we'll get into in a future episode, but the spawn chunk is the chunk that you spawn in. Now, it's not necessarily at 0, 0, but it's usually generally nearby. It's usually most likely the general nearest by chunk to that there are land at. Now, on top of the spawn chunk, there are spawn chunks. Yes, that's with an S. These are areas that are processed differently for different type of things that are based off the spawn chunk being the very center. Now, entities, any things that we'll talk about a little bit further in this video, are processed in an area 19 by 19 square area, and that is with the spawn chunk in the very center. So that is basic, and 9 by 9. So 9 chunks in every direction from the spawn chunk to create out your area. On top of that, your blocks are rendered or processed 21 by 21, and again, your spawn chunk will be your center. Now, the border of the spawn chunks, all the spawn chunks, is 23 by 23, so basically 11 north, 11 south, 11 east, and 11 west, and that is your spawn chunk group.
Now, spawn chunks are always loaded in, especially the primary spawn chunk or the one you spawn in. So things will happen there as long as you're within the overworld. Now, I did mention a little bit about dimensions. Now, I had mentioned overworld and dimensions a little bit ago, and here we're going to go take a peek at one of those real quick. There are a total of 3 dimensions currently in Minecraft, one being the overworld, one being the nether, as we can see here. Now it's going to take a moment for everything to load up here in the nether, but the nether is built up of chunks and multiple biomes and stuff like that. Also, as we can see here, and the last dimension that we have is called the end. And in the end, it's a very, very desolate place. As you can see here, the only thing that spawns here are shulkers and endermen. And when you first come in, the dragon. Those are your dimensions of Minecraft. Now, Minecraft is broke down into even more things in between each dimension. We'll go explore those next. Now, the next thing I mentioned was biome. Each dimension has their own biomes. Well, except for the end. The end is all one biome currently, but biomes are areas of regions, sort of like here we are. If we look at our F3 debug screen, we are currently in a plain. Now, if we go over here, right over here, this is going to be a savanna. And also next to this savanna is we have I think a forest right here. This is a forest. We also have a sub-biome, which is a river. And then way over here, right here, is a jungle. But this has to be a sparse jungle or an edge jungle. And we have the full jungle right over here. You can tell the difference between a jungle and a sparse jungle. A sparse jungle will have jungle trees in it, as you can see over there. But they will be spread out, as where a full jungle is pretty well jam-packed. Now, there are a ton and ton of different biomes and sub-biomes. So you got your jungle, you got your sparse jungle. Over here it looks like we have a bamboo jungle, which is another version of a jungle. This is the only place that you can find those little babies, pandas. You have biomes that are underground, like the deep dark, the lush caves, dripped stone caves, and stuff like that. As you can see, we're still in a sparse jungle, even on the mountain. There is tons and tons of different biomes throughout the game. Well, I won't say tons. Oh, look, a mangrove swamp. Oh, that's another biome. And I didn't expect that this world would have a mangrove swamp so close. So this is just a test world. Now, if you would like the seed for this world, I'm just using for a test world. But as you can see, we're not very far from spawn, and there's a mangrove swamp right here, which is pretty cool. This is what just got introduced in 1.19, along with these little guys, froggies. Mobs, as I was sitting there just talking about the frog, are the next thing we're going to talk about. Now, mobs can mean mobile entities, or some people call them monsters or bosses, MOB, can consist of anything from passive mobs, like this sheep, who will never do anything harm to you. Neutral mobs. A second type of mob is what we would call a neutral mob. They will not bother you as long as you don't bother them. And the last type of mob that we will run into are hostile. Hostile mobs will attack the player on sight. Just like so. Ah, run away! Mobs generally have an AI or artificial intelligence about them that make them move and do certain things. Now, there's a totally different set of items in the game that don't necessarily have an AI, and we would consider those entities. Entities can be anything could be a minecart that just moves around like so. Also, you got your item frames or items that you put said into. Even little items like throwing that item onto the ground is considered an entity. These things have no intelligence. They don't do anything, unlike the zombie, who will fall down a hole, and once he sees me, he will come after me. That is an intelligence. Alright, we've been talking about this a little off and on, but never hitting it into too much detail. Let's talk about items and stacks. Now, items and stacks are everything that's basically in your inventory, and basically everything in the game that can be put into your inventory. So overall, items will be put in 64, as you can see here with the glass bottle or polished granite. But there are some things that will not stack in 64, some only stack in 16. So we got like oak signs and your ender pearls. Even though Eye of Enders will stack in 64, ender pearls only stack in 16. Kind of weird like that. Then you have items that do not stack, which is like your mine carts, buckets with water in them, or powdered snow, your water bottles with items in them, solution as in water and or a potion, and then all your equipment, aka tools, weapons, and armor that you put on you in these locations. Now, enchanted books is another thing that will not stack either. Now, there are some funny things, as I said, that don't make sense quite like buckets. Buckets will stack into 16, not quite 64, but filled buckets will only be 1. They can't stack on top of each other. Now you've got glass bottles, like I mentioned before. It's kind of weird. They stack in 64, buckets only 16, but anything that goes into a bottle, which is like water or a potion, they only stack in individuals. So there are some little weirdness here or there, but it's kind of understandable. But then it would be nicer if it did. It would be great to be able to carry 64 powder snow buckets in one stack than have to do it in a bunch of different stacks. But that is different, and that might change when bundles come out, but I highly doubt it. So let's move on, shall we? Items that produce light, like the frog light, puts off light levels. As you can see here, we have a client light of 15 from the sky because the sun is up, but each block that produces light will produce another one. As you can see here, we are in a light level 14, meaning that a frog light produces a light level of 15. Now a torch, as you can see over here, produces a light level of 14, and light decreases every block you get away from it. So this one's 13, 12, 11, as you can see, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, because we go up 1 and forward 1, we're going to 4. You got 3, 2, up, because the frog light's right there, so that's going to refer over to it, but all the way down to a light level of 0 as we are right here. Mobs, as of 1.18, can no longer spawn in any light level other than 0, except for slimes in the overworld. Slimes in a slime chunk will spawn, and that's a chunk that specifically spawns slimes below Y40 all the way down to negative 64. They will spawn in any light level. So it means you can have light level 15 all the way across the board, and they will still spawn, but no other mobs will. This also goes for a few other mobs in the nether that will need light level 7 compared to light level 0 as overworld mobs do. The end, I think, also has a special condition too for that. Those I am not 100% sure on. Now, the only one thing that is totally different is their spawners. Spawners, a special block that will spawn mobs. What you can find in survival are spider, skeleton, zombie, cave spider, and then you can also find ones that will spawn magma cubes in the nether, and silverfish both only need a light level of 15. They'll spawn mobs no matter what light level they are. So it becomes an interesting thing when you're trying to get to your end portal with silverfish always spawning. The thing with mob spawners is you cannot pick them up with a silk touch. If you hit them with any pickaxe or break them, they are destroyed permanently. Now the next subject we're going to go over is health, hunger, and saturation. Health, as you can see by the hearts dancing on my screen, is broke up into 20 hit points. You have 10 hearts. Each heart includes 2 hit points. Every time you take damage, you'll see a visual indicator. You lose a couple hit points or hearts. Once you hit 0, of course you die. Now, to avoid this, you want to eat stuff like sweet berries, steak, carrots, all kinds of different food. While you're eating these foods, you are increasing your hunger, which are indicated by the drumsticks, chicken bones, or whatever you want to say that are next to the hearts. As long as you have at least 3 or more pieces of hunger, you can run. But as soon as you get to 3, you can no longer run. Hard mode, or hardcore, if you get down to 0 hunger, and you will start losing hearts and you can die. The way to avoid that, again, like I said, is eating different types of food, and each different type of food will give you a little bit more hunger back, and also a second underlined effect, saturation. And saturation is just the ability to continue growing, or before you will start losing hunger again. Each food has different levels. As you can see, sugary foods like berries and cookies give you 1, where steaks, cooked foods will give you some 4 and a lot of saturation. And the highest saturation food is golden carrots, which give you, I believe, 3 food and lots of saturation. As you can see, we're quickly gaining health right there because of the golden carrot eating. And we'll slowly continue to gain health until we get to full health. Now, I mentioned earlier items. And as you can see, I have some different items I was talking about earlier in my hot bar. Items take up area in what we call our inventory. Our inventory is basically a helmet location, a chest location, pants location, boots location for armor. We have an offhand, where this is different in Minecraft, Bedrock, and Java, is you can hold pretty much everything in Java in your offhand, but for Bedrock, it's only maps and shields currently. And maybe, I don't even think you can hold torches in your offhand, which really Bedrock players would love to have. I know I would. Also inside your inventory, you have 27 slots, which is your inventory, or kind of like a backpack, stuff you can't see. And then you have a hotbar, which is 9 slots, and each spot on the hotbar has a corresponding button that you can press from 1 through 9. So I'm holding my carrot right now, which is number 3. If I press 1, I'll hold my sword. If I press number 6, I will get the ender pearls. And you could also go through these by scrolling your middle mouse wheel if you're playing with a mouse. On controllers, you have to press either left or L or R or something of that sort like that. Now, I've been mentioning through a while here about parity. Parity are basically, like I said, there's differences between Bedrock and Java that are not in what we call parity, or not the same. So, as I said, in Java, I can put carrots in my offhand while holding a sword in my main hand. I can put torches in my offhand. Now, Bedrock, you can only put maps and or your shield in your offhand. Maybe a few other items. I'm not 100% sure on those, but those can be also found on the wiki. That is pretty much an introductory on definitions and terms that you will hear myself use and or other Minecraft content creators use throughout their videos and or stream. And if you found this useful, make sure you click that like, because I hope you did. And if you're not subscribed and you want to keep up to date with this Minecraft series that I'm going to have going on here, or my World of Tanks stuff, or game reviews that I also do here on the channel, make sure you click that subscription button and click the notification bell, changing it from occasional to always, to get instant notification of anything that I might put up on the channel. With that all being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you back here soon. This is Great Taz saying, well, I just said it. See you soon.